This is why people say AOC is dumb as a box of rocks. So people, I don't know if you guys heard the story by now about the post-millennial or by Twitter in general, because AOC loves to be on Twitter, bashing the United States or bashing Republicans, and not her own socialist ways about why some other countries are failing. So AOC came out finally and spoke about the problems in Cuba, but instead of blaming the Cuban government, she decides to blame the American government for things that the Cuban leadership is doing, the communist socialist leadership that Cuba is doing, and it just makes it all the more laughable and makes it more apparent of why AOC should not be in Congress at all. Why people like AOC, people like Bernie Sanders, people like Ilhan Omar, people like that. They are so quick to bash the United States for something that another country is doing, but they don't want to look at the bigger picture. You see, I'm pretty sure she hasn't came out and said, yeah, this is the problems of socialism or communism. She just went and go and said, yeah, this is U.S. fault. Let me read out this article from the Post-Millennial. AOC blames Cuban suffering on U.S. contributions, calls for end to cruel embargo. We also must name the U.S. contribution to Cuban suffering, our 60-year-old embargo, Ocasio-Cortez stated. Are you serious right now? Amid pro-freedom demonstrations in Cuba and solidarity protests in the U.S., Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat, North New York, blamed the oppression of the island citizens on the historical legacy of America's decades-old embargo, citing U.S. contribution to Cuban suffering. We stand in solidarity with the Cuban people and condemn the suppression of the media, speech, and protest, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted. Although it was noted she spent more words denouncing the United States than Cuba's communist regime. So even the post-millennial is saying, yeah, AOC is pretty damn stupid in this. Instead of denouncing the communist socialist ways in Cuba, which obviously failed its people, they had no food, they had no medicine. The Cuban government literally blocked access to the internet in a lot of Cuban regions, but somehow that's America's fault. Let's keep going. Pretty much on brand. 45 words condemning Cuban regime, 83 words condemning America. Committed real clear politics President Tom Bevan. Cortez also called for an end to the U.S. embargo and additional Trump-era restrictions that she said are profoundly contributing to the suffering of Cubans. Again, everything is always Trump's fault. According to the lawmaker's Thursday statement, Ocasio-Cortez says she stands in solidarity with the Cuban protesters and condemns the anti-democratic actions led by Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. The suppression of the media, speech, and protests are all gross violations of civil rights. We also must name the U.S. contribution to Cuban suffering, our 60-year-old embargo, Cortez pivoted, underscoring that last month the United Nations voted once again to call on the United States to lift its embargo on Cuba. Washington then countered the annual UN General Assembly resolution that overwhelmingly lambasted the U.S. economic embargo on Cuba for the 29th year. So it's not Trump's fault. This has been going on for 29 years. She called the embargo absolutely cruel and like too many other U.S. policies targeting Latin Americans. The cruelty is the point. The progressive New York, she's not progressive. The progressive New York Congresswoman says she rejects the Biden administration's alleged defense of the embargo. It is never acceptable for us to use cruelty as a point of leverage against everyday people. Hold up, but didn't y'all just make a deal with Facebook to censor people y'all don't like? You guys literally just called on Facebook to censor conservatives like seeing this Brian Stelter said, but apparently you guys don't want no cruel leverage for everyday people. When you guys are kind of censoring channels like actual progressive moderates that saying the Democrat Party is tripping, they're full of socialists. AOC, you're a socialist. You stand In the video statement, the young Democrat added, "Now the other piece of this is the U.S. administration. What's extraordinarily important for us to communicate as well as is the actions and U.S. contributions to the suffering of Cubans on the island as well. And that is directly related to the embargo, the U.S. embargo." Cortez parroted the establishment media's anti-Trump talking point amid Cuba's pro-democracy demonstrations. The mainstream press has accused former President Trump of causing oppression and economic ruin in Cuba. CBS News pointed the finger of blame at the Trump administration policies for Cuba's poverty and crumbling economy. Again, they always gotta blame Trump. Like I said, I ain't want to believe Trump derangement syndrome was a thing, but Trump derangement syndrome is a thing. The corporate media policies, for Cuba's poverty and crumbling economy. The corporate media outlet amplified Diaz-Canel's excuse that the civil unrest erupting in Cuba is an injection to the economic backsliding caused by Trump's time. CNN's chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins also blamed Trump for the anti-communist protests in Cuba instead of the island's authoritarian regime. See, like I said, even the post-millennial is calling out the Democrat Party, and the post-millennial is mainly left. It's mainly left. The people at the post-millennial is saying, yeah, this is not because of Trump. This is because of the communist regime, the socialist regime in Cuba. So again, the left is so quick to blame Trump and not the people that's in power of Cuba. That's how crazy this is. At the White House press briefing Monday, the CNN reporter questioned Biden press secretary Jen Psaki as to why current sanctions that were put in place by the Trump administration have not been changed by the Biden presidency. So why is the Biden administration continuing that policy? Collins asked Psaki, emphasizing that exiles cannot send aid to families still living in Cuba. Psaki said that even under the embargo, there are several exceptions, such as humanitarian assistance and medical supplies. But I have nothing to preview for you in terms of a change of policy, Psaki told Collins. The Biden administration also claimed at the same White House presser that recent efforts had more to do with concerns over the surge of COVID-19 cases on the island than an impassioned design for liberty. Psaki called the protests spontaneous expressions and failed to issue a harsh condemnation of communism, socialism, or the regime that caused what the White House spokesperson labeled as economic mismanagement. Here's how bad it was, social media wise. They were so quick to blame everything on COVID-19 cases and the Trump administration. But when video actually got out of what's actually going on in Cuba, or what the actual Cuban people are saying, and not these freaking bought and paid for hacks who spread lies mainly from the Democrat side. See, here's the thing: Cuban people in the United States would tell you how bad it is in Cuba and why they moved from Cuba to the United States. Because, like I said, it's no medicine in Cuba. It's barely any food in Cuba. The whole universal healthcare thing is a lie. It actually damages the community. But you got people like AOC and Bernie Sanders and other people on the socialist side of the Democrats push for universal healthcare. But once again, the Cuban people will say, yo, it doesn't help out. Universal healthcare is a disease. People should not be spreading this whole false assumption that universal healthcare is for the greater good. It's not for the greater good. People will say, "Oh well, look at Canada. Canada, it's the same thing for the whole universal healthcare." You had people waiting in line for most likely years to get a operation for a torn ligament. A ligament, my bad. Yeah, torn ligament. But again, they would have to wait in line behind all these other people who had the same privileges, who had the same healthcare as everybody else. Like the United States, for prime example, people have their own Medicare. They get jumped in front of people that has less money or doesn't have a better healthcare system than they are. People say that's not right, but again, money talks. Money talks. Universal health care, free universal health care, there's no money in that. You get the same treatments as everybody else, and those treatments could be trash. You can go in and expect the doctors to say, oh, we did everything you could. Next thing you know, a couple weeks later, you're more sick than you ever been before, because of this false statement that universal health care works. Again, don't listen to these bought and paid for politicians. Actually listen to listen to the actual Cuban people that say Cuba is not a great place to be unless you're rich. And universal health care does not help out either. So again, you have AOC blaming everything on Trump and the whole United Nations or US, but they won't blame the communist government or pretty much the socialist government of Cuba. She would not blame them. She is so quick to blame the US. Let me guys know what y'all think about this in the comments below. If you guys like what I'm saying, like and subscribe to the video. I will see you on the next one.